Hello everybody and welcome once again to The Brink, the most brinkaliciously awesomely awesome podcast this side of Mount Wellington, as we bring you episode 36 of the Brinkalicious podcast that you know and love. We've got a massively huge episode for you this week, as we do every single week. We're going to finally bring you a bit of a teaser of the Brink Unleashed 7. We've got a bit of a release date and some news in terms of that, as well as some great new content. We've got a guest joining us that we haven't heard from in quite some time, so stay tuned for that in this episode. But just a couple of things to touch on before we get into the swing of things. Sadly, of course, today, actually, the passing of Les Murray, the great Australian football broadcaster, the voice of Australian football. He sadly passed away today, aged 71, and we have put up on our feed our interview we did with the great man back in 2014. We were going to include that in this episode, but we thought we'd put it up separately just for you to enjoy it, so you don't have to go through the rest of this rubbish. Probably doesn't really fit the tone too well of this episode as well. So for all you fans out there of Les Murray, sadly passed away today. You can hear our chat with him from 2014. Just if you do head to our Facebook page or just subscribe onto our feed on iTunes, you can find that there. And I just want to send a special shout out to all our listeners throughout the week. We had great downloads during the week, one of our highest rated episodes yet, and a special shout out must go to those listening to us in Greece, in India, a couple of new countries joining the ranks there of Brinkalicious fans, and shout out to our London listeners too. Not often we get too many in the UK, but big cheerio to everybody over there in London listening to us. So big shout out there, and thank you very much for your ongoing support. We very much appreciate it here on The Brink. That part of the episode to talk to New Zealand. It's Nick Chester, the entire country apparently in one person. Hello Nick, welcome back to The Brink.
4 million people pushed into one. That's a good achievement.
I heard that's what you're into. It's a pleasure to have you here, Nick, as always, to find out what's happening in the land of the long white cloud. Now, I want to bring back something in just a moment from kind of when we first started having you on the show, but just another thing, like we like to find out what's happening in your beautiful country each week, and, you know, as always, we hope that there's something in the news, and as often is the case, nothing really happens in New Zealand. But I did go into our favourite Google machine, typed in New Zealand, and I've got an article here. Last week I think we had 7 things that could improve New Zealand by 2020 or something like that. Yeah, on stuff.co.nz. I found another article here on stuff.co.nz. To me, they're kind of like the news.com.au, it seems, of New Zealand. But this is small New Zealand towns that deserve more of your time. Now, this actually was only posted very recently. And, of course, you took me to several small little towns on your beautiful country when I visited you, Nick. So these are towns, and I want you to tell me if you've heard of these. Now, this first one you've obviously heard of because you took me here. It's Parora. How do you say it? Parora? Paeroa. Thank you. Right, okay. So they say here that that 90s TV ad was right. It ain't famous for its Hollywood mansions, harbour bridge, bright lights or fast bowlers, but it's famous. World famous in New Zealand, and obviously because of LMP. So this is a town that I've actually been to. So, I mean, I guess you would agree with that being on this list.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, the LMP thing makes it a bit more famous than it probably should be. But yeah, it's a nice little town, I guess.
There you go. Here's another one called Gore. Have you heard of Gore before?
Yeah, I've been to Gore. It was the coldest place I've ever been in my life. It was. I got up and it was 4 degrees, and it just stayed at 4 degrees all day.
Right. It hosts the New Zealand Gold Guitar Awards. There you go.
Yeah.
Is that like your country music awards, or what is that?
Yeah, it's something like that, yeah.
You have country music in New Zealand? I don't know. I'm guessing you do, Ben. It's probably not that funny. I probably just offended the country. Taihape? The gumboot capital?
Yeah.
Taihape? The gumboot capital of New Zealand. Have you visited there before?
Yeah, they do gumboot throwing there, I think. That's, it's kind of like the shot put, except you use a gumboot because it's New Zealand,
Right. When you're not using them with the sheep and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep, cool. All right, great. I've really researched these because there's all places that I can't pronounce. Nagara Wahai, Nagara, help me here.
Ngaruawahia, which is just down the. There's just down the road from where I live here in the Waikato. So it's quite famous because it's the home of the Māori king. So he lives there, and it's just a small little town really, but it's kind of getting quite big. because of the growth and stuff, and people tend to live there and drive to Auckland or drive to Hamilton for work. So it's a pretty small place, but because of the whole Māori King thing, it's kind of a little bit famous.
And is the Maori King a good guy, or do we like him or not like him, or can't we say?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really be able to give you a good opinion because I don't really know. It's not something that we kind of talk about a lot in day-to-day kind of conversations in New Zealand, if I'm being honest.
Cool. All right. Well, there you go. The next one here is Oamaru. Amaru.
Oamaru.
Oamaru. That too. I mean, that looks like a nice town here.
Yeah, down in the South Island. Yeah, no, it's a nice little town. I can't say I've been there a whole lot. Probably just driving through when I've been doing road trips down the South Island. But yeah, no, it's a nice enough place from what I've seen.
There's yellow-eyed penguins there. Thought to be one of the rarest penguin species in the world at a place called Bushy Beach. There you go.
Yeah.
Moiraki.
Moiraki, I think.
Moiraki?
Yeah, that's where the boulders are. Is that what that's telling?
Sure. It doesn't say here. If it does, I'm not reading it properly. Tiny settlement that requires a slight detour off north of Otago.
Oh yes, no, that's it. So it's a bit famous because there's a beach there with these big, massive boulders that people go and visit. So I've been there. I'm not sure I would have called it a town. I would have thought it was just a bit of beach, but there you go. I'm learning something.
There you go. You are. Next one here, Murchison. I can pronounce that one. Well,
yep.
You know Murchison well?
It's not somewhere I've ever been. It's gotten a little bit more coverage because with the earthquakes, people are having to drive through there where they normally wouldn't have. But one of the things about Murchison is that for those that were Survivor New Zealand followers, is that's where Lee from Survivor New Zealand's from. He lives in Murchison.
Right, I'm really having Danny Verks on this list.
No Danny Verks.
Yeah, Alexandra, central Otago town. Do we know much about Alexandra?
It's not somewhere I've ever been, but it's one of those places that in the winter it's like, 5 degrees colder than everywhere else, and in summer it's like 10 degrees warmer than everywhere else. It's I think it's pretty picturesque. It's that kind of central Otago is a pretty nice place to go and visit because it's a nice looking place.
All right, Motueke,
Motueka, and sorry, I've got myself a little bit confused there because Motueka is actually where Lee's from. I knew it started with an M. So that's right at the top of the South Island. It's supposed to be a pretty nice place. I think it's not somewhere I've been though.
Cool. All right, and Cheviot is the last one here.
Cheviot, yep. So that's in Canterbury. So it's a bit of a rural town, and again for Survivor New Zealand fans, that's where dear Lou is from, who got medevac. That's where she's from. So
Poor Lou. Look at you knowing your New Zealand towns. You know your country well. I love the comments on these articles. Just like people get so angry.
Who lives in a small town who's pissed off because their little town didn't make the list.
Yeah, give me a city any day from Moses. Somebody with the name Ew says Def missed some up north. Warkworth and Matakana are nice, and Russell and many more, I'm sure. Okay. What was that? The nice little beach place we went to. I like that. Was a nice little town.
Oh, Waihi.
Yeah.
No, we didn't go to Waihi. We went to. I know what you mean.
We get like the sausage and the fish and chips and. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Good to see our trip was memorable, Nick.
Yeah.
Not Whangamatai. Well, I've got Whanga, just anything with an F and PH or
Whangamatai. Whangamatai. That's where we went.
There you go. Look at me knowing my New Zealand knowledge. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Thanks to stuff.co.nz for that. I'm sure I can find 10 towns in Tasmania to visit because we've only got about 6, so they'll make another 4 up. Now, Nick, I wanted to bring this back because I was cleaning my room out the other day, found a little book that I purchased when I was with you. Of course, this is when we first got you on the show when I was in New Zealand, and the book I purchased was Favourite New Zealand Jokes About Australians by Katrina Power. Now, again, you would think any decent podcast host would go through and research and pick the good ones out. But I haven't because I'm lazy. So again, apologies if you're a long-term listener to this show. I pity you. You really shouldn't be listening to it that long. It's dangerous for your health. But if I repeat any of these, I don't know. And again, Nick, have you met any New Zealanders since we first read this that really have a thing about finding jokes about Australians? And because it went down to didn't it come down to like you think we're poor or something like that, or dumb or something along those lines?
Yeah, I think so. That was the general impression I got. They were almost like blonde jokes, but with the word blonde replaced by Australian.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't even... This is like all kinds of offensive, and it kind of paints... I don't know what this paints in any picture. What do you call an Australian baby in a pram?
Go on.
Meals on Wheels. What?
Okay. So that's Dingo ate the baby thing, I think.
Oh, right. Ha 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 ha. Get it? You know, because a baby died. It's hilarious.
No. Yeah.
I'm not getting involved in that. There was all that racism accusations during Amazing Race Australia, New Zealand. Anyway, this is, again, I don't know if I'm reading the right ones here. Anyway, how many Aussie blokes does it take to change a light bulb?
How many?
None. That's women's work.
Oh, God.
Come off it.
No. Moving right along.
Sheila went to her father in great distress. Dad, I'm pregnant, she said. Hang on a minute, said he. Let's not panic. Are you sure it's yours? Yep.
Yeah.
What the fuck? An Australian couple won $1 million in lotto. Although they were both thrilled, the wife had one concern. What about all the begging letters, honey? She asked her husband. Just keep sending them, he replied. Like, what? That's not even funny. That's
your exasperation.
You're laughing.
Is funny from the joke.
Wow. What does the Loch Ness monster have in common with an intelligent, sensitive Aussie?
They don't exist.
Yeah, pretty much. Some people believe they exist, but no one's seen either. All right, these are. I really need to find. What's the worst thing about Australia?
It's too close to New Zealand.
It's above sea level.
Okay. Yep.
This joke is from. Okay, I don't know if you ever remember the classic Kevin Bacon movie, The Air Up There. This is like one of these jokes that you can basically change to fit any location. Why do birds fly upside down over Australia?
It's something about shitting on them.
It's not worth shitting on. Yep.
Yeah.
Why can't you give an Aussie more than 10 minutes for lunch?
Why not?
If you did, you'd have to retrain him.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
The funniest thing about this book is that somebody actually convinced you to pay money to buy it. That's the best joke.
And it wasn't that cheap either. I think it was expensive. I should have gone for the New Zealand slang book that was right next to it, but no, I thought this would be funny. Oh, this would give us great material on podcasts for years, and we forget about it. The great Aussie game hunter was stalking the jungles of Africa, looking for lions and tigers to shoot, when he stumbled across a beautiful woman lying naked in clearing. Wow, he said, are you game? She gave a seductive smile and said, why, yes, I am. So he shot her. Yeah. All right, I think we need to end this with a long one here. Okay, bear with me for this one. I have not read how this ends, so I'm learning this at the same time as you. Bruce was very excited about the upcoming test series, and when he began feeling unwell, was so concerned that he might miss the big event that he decided to see a doctor. The doctor gave Bruce a thorough examination and solemnly informed him that he had long-standing and advanced prostate problems, and the only cure was testicular removal. No way, Doc, replied Bruce, as he left to seek a second opinion. The second doctor gave Bruce the same diagnosis and also advised him that testicular removal was the only cure. Poor Bruce was devastated, but he decided to get one last opinion. The doctor examined him and said, Bruce, I'm afraid you have serious prostate problems. What's the cure then, Doc? Asked Bruce, hoping this time for a different answer. The doctor said as gently as he could, Bruce, we're going to have to cut off your balls. Phew, thank God for that, said Bruce. Those other bastards wanted to take my test tickets off me. Oh, come off it. Testicular. Oh, no.
Yeah, you shouldn't have gone for a long one.
Shit. Who is this woman? Katrina Power. Is she a comedian, an author?
I don't know. Maybe she's been run out of the country.
Yeah.
Both countries.
It advertises in the back of this book, The Beaut Little Book of New Zealand Slang by Harry Orsman and Des Hurley. Any listeners who want to send that to me. Right, this one's, last one, I'll close this off. What do you call a beautiful, intelligent woman in Australia?
New Zealander on holiday or something?
A tourist.
Yeah, I was close.
Boom. All right, Nick, we didn't really talk to you. Anything else going on in your life you want to share? I just kind of just told you jokes for 20 minutes.
Yeah. No, that's okay. They were pretty bad jokes anyway.
Yeah, so nothing at all in your life that you want to talk about?
No, I think we're good.
Cool. How are the dogs? They're good? Yep.
Yeah. No, they're good. Yeah.
Nick and I have officially run out of things to talk about in our friendship.
Yeah. This is the most awkward ending to an interview ever, but you know.
On that note, Nick, it's always fun. We'll speak to you next week.
You will indeed.
That time of the show where we get the man that comes on every now and then, but he's on again this week because we love him. It's Joshua Shoebridge. Josh, welcome back to the show that you helped create.
I love touching things that I've created, except for things that fall into a toilet.
I really, wow, that could be considered as very inappropriate. It says you have like children, so wow, this show just went dark.
No, just on that, you've actually touched a nerve right there. So today we get the school newsletter, and it says, the school will be doing a child protection and sexuality course from grades kindergarten to 6.
Right.
And I've gone, okay, let's read on. And it goes, kindergarteners will be learning how the reproductive system works. Like, when I was in kindergarten, I was eating sand out of the sandpit. I didn't know how a baby was I remember in grade 6 asking my teacher what masturbation was because it sounded interesting.
I still don't know what masturbation is. What is that? I've never heard that word before. You know the funny thing is that look, I'm not a parent. I don't know what age they should be learning it at. For all I know, I fucking don't know how old kids are. I look at your kid and say, oh, he can drink, have a beer. Like, I really can't tell the ages of kids anyway, but I can't remember. We met in high school. We've told the story on air before. Good old Newtown High in Hobart, Tasmania. You came in grade 9. I remember doing sexual education once in high school. It was in grade 7. We had a health teacher called Mr. Stewart who used to stand up the front of the class and say, kids don't smoke, smoking's bad, while he had a pack of smokes in the back of his jeans. But yeah, I vaguely remember him telling us, like, doing a bit there. I remember doing it every year in primary school, but it's kind of interesting to think just in sexual education in general, I don't even remember doing it post grade 7. So I'm not educated, Josh. I maybe need to come to school again. What is sex?
I think your virginities have probably grown back, Ben. But
well, you won't find me disagreeing with that at the moment, Joshua Shoebridge.
But saying it as a married man, mine grew back 6 months ago.
Yours grew back the day after the honeymoon.
I've got a story to tell. I'll tell the story after. But no, I think we need to get away from sex education. So
hey, look, why not? Two bros chatting on a podcast. Like, you know, no one's listening to this anyway. We can talk about what we want.
That's exactly right. You know, it's funny. My wargaming podcast gets about 700 listens an episode in the first 48 hours. That scares me. But anyway, the story is, okay. I was saying, so for our honeymoon, Amy and I went on a cruise, and we went with we were on the Voyager of the Sea, fantastic cruise ship. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's the best holiday I've ever had, and not because it was my honeymoon, but anyway, they did this thing that one night, and it was called the Game of Love. And the cruise director was like, he had like the whole auditorium was packed out. I was like, at least 1,000 people in this auditorium, and he was like, okay, we want the shortest term married couple on this vessel who's like the newlyweds on this vessel. And there's this lady who was like right near the stage, and she put her hand. We got married 2 months ago, and I've gone, oh, I know Naomi's gonna hate me for this. Yesterday. It's like, you guys are up. So Naomi and I went up on there, and they had a 25 year and a 50 year couple come up, and they were asking questions like, because they had us seated back to back, so we couldn't see our partner. It was like, the one question was like, when does your partner want to make whoopee? Like, what time of day? What is your partner wearing currently? What is the name of your partner's last ex? And if on a desert island, would you rather be with your wife or a stripper? Or sorry, no, if you're on a desert island, would you like to be with a nun or a stripper? So he's asking all these questions, and like, you write them all down, and he was going over, taking everyone's answers, and like, for like the X one, and it was like, who is your partner's ex? Bitch. Yep, there's some animosity there. Like making all the jokes up, and when he came up to me, he's like, when does your partner want to make whoopee? And he goes, you're newlyweds, you shouldn't even be here.
Well, it's true. I mean, particularly as a religious couple, Josh, there's obviously lots of elements to the honeymoon that perhaps I wouldn't care too much about. So,
there was some pent up frustration there. But what was interesting though, right? So they asked all these questions, and they got fairly adult. It was quite funny. Like he went through like, who would you rather be with, a nun or a stripper? He went to me. I obviously put nun, and the guy who was there for 25 years put stripper, and then the guy who'd been married for 50 years wrote a stripper dressed as a nun.
I would put both.
Now they feel. So on the cruise ship, they have this like closed circuit sort of TV channel where like they show the shows, the comedic acts, the music acts. They showed this show daily on the cruise ship TV, and it was getting to the point where Naomi and I were walking, because we won the show too, which is even cool.
What did you win?
Big gift bags. Oh, it was a big gift basket full of stuff. It was really cool. There was heaps of cool stuff in it. No,
well, clearly you don't use it. You've got kids, so yeah.
I've had sex twice since I've been married.
Yep, that's all that kids want to know that you've had. That's the story, that when they listen to this in about 20 years' time, that, yep, mum and dad only had sex twice, to create myself and your brother. So there you go, done.
That's it. No, but we were walking around the cruise ship, and all these people looking at us going, oh, it's the couple from the show. They should be having sex now, but they're not. We walked into We walked in an elevator, and this 50-year-old like retiree lady looked like she'd just come from the bowling green. He's gone, how was it on your first night together?
Oh, wow. See, I don't have any stories like that because I've never been married. So
there was this one time I was up at the light, because I like to read, and Naomi liked doing. Took some time out, and I was sitting up in the library. I was reading a book, and this person came and goes, "Hey, you're that newlywed bloke, yeah?" Yeah. And he's like, "Did you piss her off already?"
Well, I'm asking the same question again, Josh, because again, you are on your honeymoon, and again, you're religious people. So, like, this is my thing. Okay, like, this is no disrespect to you or any religious people out there, but like, you obviously get to that point where you get married, and it's like, hey, whoop-de-doo, we can whoopee all night long. But like, what is the case there? What is the deal? Why aren't you like just bonking that boat down to the bottom of the ocean?
Okay, it's like friction. You do too much,
yes,
it hurts.
That's sex.
Okay.
You obviously might need to take that education that they're sending your kids at the moment there, Josh.
Well, I probably need to sit in on that. What it goes in that one? Okay. No. In all respect, I did get really sick on the cruise ship. I got we left Sydney. And we went to New Caledonia, Fiji, and then there was 3 stops around New Zealand. And that was a 2-week cruise. So we were on a cruise ship for 2 weeks. It was fetching awesome. Everything was done for you. And the food was awesome, except the day before we were meant to go to New Caledonia, our first stop, I had this thing with mushrooms in it, and there was something up with the mushrooms, and I got food poisoning, and I got really sick. Now, I know a little bit of French, and we were in New Caledonia, and we were walking through these supermarkets, and I was really sick. I can introduce myself. I can ask if someone speaks English. I can sort of ask for things if I know what the French word for it is. Trying to find out what Panadol in French is impossible.
Le Panadol.
It's probably like La Royale with cheese or something like that. But I'm walking around. There's poor sick man going, "Excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît, je suis Joshua, parlez-vous anglais?" And they go, "That's very good French. Ask me what you want in French now." Piss off, you wanker.
You just spoke Australian. Now, piss off, you wanker.
After all of this, right? So after I got better, so the table that we were assigned to in our nighttime, our nighttime dining, was with this couple that never turned up, and there was a table behind us that had 2 extra seats, and they invited us to join them. So we did, and there was these awesome people. There's mother and son from Adelaide. There was this bloke who was a single bloke who just got on a cruise, to mingle. There was a Scottish couple, Margot and George. They were so funny. They were crack up. And then there was this Russian couple. This guy, his name was Igor. He's from Moscow, and I live in Melbourne, and I work for the science people. And his wife, who was like, what was her, Margaret, I think her name
Tatiana
was, and she was
something like that.
Oh no, she looked like Tatiana when she becomes 80. Like she's like, no, you remember the nanny, the show The Nanny?
Fran Dresser, of course, yes, Mrs. Sheffield.
Yeah, her mum.
Oh, Sylvia. Okay.
Yeah, looked like her, and she was as ditzy as they all are, and like we're all going. I said, "What do you do?" Oh yeah, at that time I worked for Telstra. I'm like, I work for Telstra, and I get to Igor. He's like, "I'm scientist. Like that's all I can tell you. I can't tell you. I'm scientist for Australian government."
KGB.
And this guy, he was huge. He was a massive. He looked like he was in the mob. And then she started telling a story. She's like, Igor and I we went to Phillip Island one morning, and we were looking at the penguins, and then the nighttime came, and the penguins went away, and we went back to the car, and we got to and we realized that the park was locked, that they blocked off the car park. And she's like stressing out because she can't get the car because the boom gate's down, and apparently a copper doing his route came around and found her and assumed that she was a Russian prostitute doing tricks at the car park at Phillip Island.
Well, I mean, I had my very first time I went to uni, before I quit like the 300 times I did. There was a girl in my class, very attractive Eastern European girl. She was from Slovakia, and also like she was kind of like co-Slovakian Hungarian. She was gorgeous, but got talking to her and then found out that she was married. And of course, like my first thought of this, and I don't know if this is like incredibly, I don't know what this is. You tell me. I automatically assumed she was a mail order bride. So, but it turned. I'm actually still good friends with her. Still, I'm still friends with her. Hello, Eva, if you're listening. But
you know what you should do? Send her a copy of the movie Birthday Girl, with starring Nicole Kidman as a mail order Russian bride to some poor British wank.
I mean, look, the story is like I when I was engaged back in the 1800s, our planned honeymoon, I think we were going to go back to this resort that we went to when we went to Cairns one time. But it's interesting because obviously traditionally the honeymoon and all that sort of stuff, it's like you're married and all that kind of faux shiznit and that first night and everything along those lines. But I mean, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that honeymoon, I still don't think we would have had sex. I mean, we never did anyway. So, I mean, it's not like going to change anything once we got married. So,
mate, tell me if I'm wrong,
You're wrong.
I remember you were telling me about this plan, and you were saying, and her mum and her father were going to come, and they were going to be in the room next to us.
No, that is wrong. No. I don't know where you ever got that idea from.
No, I remember you telling me something.
She probably would have invited a mum, knowing her, but...
See, when we went on our honeymoon, Naomi's mum tried to invite herself on the cruise. Oh, the cruise, it's such a wonderful idea in the summer. And so I said to Naomi, we're going to book this thing, and we're going to book it, and we're not going to tell anyone that we've booked it for 2 weeks. That way they can't book another... And she got pissed with us.
Well, that's what
Fetch your mother-in-laws.
That's what they do. I mean,
look,
I...
This is a public service announcement.
Okay.
If you're a bitch of a mother-in-law, jump off a bridge.
And if you're not a bitch of a mother-in-law, just do it anyway, because it probably... That's a bit mean. I mean, we don't want, I don't know, Nicole Kidman to jump off a bridge. I'm sure her kids will get married one day. It's a bit mean. Nicole Kidman seems nice.
Yeah, no. I'd hold her hand.
The Queen's a mother-in-law. We don't want her jumping off the... I don't know.
I saw the funniest thing with the Queen in it the other day. So she went to this it was like the opening of the new BBC headquarters, and she photobombed the newscasters, and she had this look on her face like, you call this a news office?
She did that during the was it the Olympics or the Commonwealth Games, where there was some Australian hockey players and they were taking a selfie, and the Queen just happened to be walking past, and she kind of had a little smirk on her face. That photo went viral. I think that was during the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. But look, I'm a Republican in the Australian sense. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I still am fascinated by we've had Prince Charles on the show, of course. That's one of our biggest interviews we ever had. But it's still...
do you listen to this radio show?
They fascinate me. But the Queen, she just constantly looks bored. I mean, she's probably the nicest lady in the world, but honest to God, what a boring job. I mean, I saw during the week that Prince William has officially quit his day job as a pilot to concentrate on royal duties. What the fuck are royal duties? Walking around shaking people's hands, getting flowers? I want that job.
No. Well, I think he actually does a lot of stuff, Prince. He's like his mum, but... Here's the funniest thing I read about the Queen just this last week. There was things that you never knew about the Queen, and apparently, when she's at galas and that, and they actually do some normal things that normal people do, and they have a DJ and they play normal music. She will always get up and dance to Dancing Queen.
I read that
because she is a queen, and she's like, screw you, I'm the queen. I'm going to disco dance.
I just would love to be a fly on the wall. Just with her, just in bed with Philip, just sitting up reading a book. Oh, Philip! Oh, that curry's gone. I've got to go hang a loaf.
No, there was a Mark McIntyre thing where he was talking about the Queen and how cool she is because she's on money and she's on stamps, and he said, it'd be cool, if you. Depending on the level of currency, you have a $50 on your $50 note. You have the Queen in all her splendor with the drapes, the crown, everything, and then you got the $5 Queen with rollers, fag in her mouth, going, "If you want to see the real me, earn some bloody money."
The most interesting thing I found out about the Queen and the money and all that sort of stuff was when I was in Canada last year. I did a tour of the Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa, and then I did a tour of the Royal Canadian Mint in Winnipeg. Apparently, I just fucking love Canadian money. And very similar to Australia, obviously, they got the Queen on there. They're part of the Commonwealth. And it's always kind of fascinated me when you think about it. The Queen's old. She's probably going to be dead in a few years, a few months, maybe. She might have died between when we recorded this and when we released this. If it happens, I know we technically killed Roger Moore on 007 a few weeks ago, but look, we didn't kill the Queen. Anyway, as soon as she dies, of course...
They have something to do with Michael Jackson, though.
Well, yeah. Prince Charles, obviously, will then have to be on the money. And I asked a question at the Mint, and the guy's like, yep, we've got it all ready to go. Basically, she carks it, we're ready to go. We have to go ahead straight away. We've got to press the coins, we've got to press the money and all that sort of stuff. And here's an interesting thing, which I don't know if you knew or any other people out there knew, but every time there's a new monarch on money, they face the different direction. So if you look at an Australian coin or a note or any note from around the world that has a queen on it, pay attention to which way she's facing, because when Charles eventually goes on that coin or the note, he will be facing the other direction. There you go.
No, that's correct, because if you look at the old pennies with King George on it, he's facing to the right, where on our money at the moment the Queen is facing to the left.
And there was a discrepancy in that, though, because there was whoever was a monarch between. Maybe it's George. I don't know my monarchs. I know the Queen. That's about it. But whoever was like between the Queen and whoever was before that, because they were only in for like a very short amount of time, they didn't actually have time to produce the new money. So therefore, that's why I think like the Queen's facing the same direction as the one before. So anyway, it's all a little bit technical, but yeah.
You're thinking of her uncle.
Oh, I don't fucking know, Josh. They're old people who get put in charge of something that no one gives a shit about, but they're still fascinating.
But apparently, and I could be wrong in this, but apparently in Australia, by Australian law, that once she dies, or like you have to go to the bank and get your money changed straight away. Essentially, that's because
I doubt that would happen, though, because can you think of all the bogans? I fucking not fucking get rid of this fucking money, fucking my money, fucking cunts. Like, that's all it would be. Now it's fucking taking my money, fuck the fucking royals, fuck them all. That was an actual transcript from a conversation that happened in Bridgewater about 30 seconds ago.
I didn't vote for them. Jump off a bloody cliff.
It's so funny when you're like in America and like Canada, and you know they ask the questions like, "So, do you have like regional accents?" And it's like, "Well, yeah, you go to Bridgewater, they sound a little bit different." Fucking go to fucking Bridgewater, and like they're literally like Americans who, I mean, you would have heard it actually on this show a few weeks ago when we had Vicky from Alaska. We dropped the word cunt about 158,000 times, but like there are some Americans that, oh my god, so like you say like cunt like hello, and it's like, well, I mean, you can't say it on TV and you wouldn't say it to your mother, but like, I mean, it's certain areas of Australia, yes, it's quite relaxed the way we use that word. I mean, it is the one word, I'm being a hypocrite given that I've just said it on the podcast about 1,500 times, it is the one word that I will still be careful in using in context. Like, I use it in front of you, I don't give a shit, cunt. And like, both of our listeners don't care either, because they put up with it a few weeks ago. But like, if I meet someone, like if I'm like, oh, hello, I'm here for the job interview, yeah, what's your name? Fucking Ben Waterworth, cunt, what's yours? Like, I mean, I'm not going to say that. But, yeah.
See, I have a mate of mine who would say that.
Well, I mean, if you're going for like a job at like Bridgewater Shiploads, you know. Anyway,
have you ever seen the guy who he's the stand-up comedian persona of Chopper Read?
Yeah.
He does this skit about Bunnings, and he's like talking about how the people that work at Bunnings, the reason why there's so many Bunnings is because when people get sacked for being a dumb F word, they go off and go to another Bunnings. So they just do the circuit until they get round to they've forgotten about who this person was, and they get hired again. And the reason why they wear aprons is because they got dribble. They dribble.
That's like Dave Hughes gets staring up on stage and he's like, hey, Bunnings, if you're watching, hire better looking people. I'm sick of seeing your ugly fuckers on your commercials. He has some of the best stuff, Dave Hughes. And he's a friend of the show. He's been on the show, of course, as well.
No, he's a cracker. Oh, mate, I love him. I love it. I love all Aussie. Oh, you know, Arj Barker's coming to Bega in October.
Well, because I mean, he's been to every other town in Australia, so he's just ticking them off the list. I like Arj Barker, but you know.
Yeah, and before him, we got Ando coming as well.
I like Ando. The one that I'm actually really liking, because they've been showing a lot of repeats of Spicks and Specks. Dad usually, we have dinner and repeats of Spicks and Specks on. Is Ross Noble? He's been on that a lot, and fuck, he's funny.
Oh, you know, he's crack up. I've been looking at some like the international things, like Russell what is his name? Yeah, Russell Peters. He's an Indian Canadian one. He does this thing where he talks about like immigrant families beat their kids, and how like Jamaica, like, you know, like his family, if he did something wrong, he'd get his butt whooped. If it was like an Asian family, like, oi, Tap Ding Wong, it says you got an F in school. What? like kung fu fighting starts up there, but then like a Jamaican family is like, "Oi, boy, come here." What was that for, Daddy? Just in case.
Do you remember, speaking of Jamaican, remember the days of Usain Bolt on this show? You actually, one thing I think we played in our flashback segment a while back, we played AMZ Pop.
That made me thought of something. There is a lady who lives near our chapel down here in Marumaru, and she's like almost 97 years old. Her name is Liselette Leister, and she is from Dusseldorf, which is near
Irish.
Nuremberg. No, she is freaking German. She still thinks Hitler was an all right person. She was in Hitler Youth. She has she's got like a typical German old lady, got all these display with nice plates, spoons from wherever she's visited, a Nazi knife. There's more things.
I just want you to back up there and say, just a typical German woman, like a typical old German woman. What is a typical old German woman, Josh?
Okay, you've seen the movie Madagascar?
Oh, years and years ago, yes.
Yeah, you know the old lady's like, that's a bad kitty. That.
Right.
But more German. And when I was a missionary, we visited her, and she'd be like, I used to live in Nuremberg. I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. That's where they had the trials after the war. Yes, they were a circus, and those people were innocent.
Can we get her on the show? Can we get her on the show?
I don't know. But what was funny, right? So she is really old, and she would have us like we'd be in a kitchen or dining room area, and we'd be doing what missionaries, sharing a message that missionaries do. And she's like, I'm going to get you some cake. So she'd make the best cake, like homemade cakes that looked professional. They were awesome. But she was so old, she had no control over her bowel at all. So she'd be up at the kitchen sink, and then you just hear this. And she would like nothing happened, and I'm looking at my companion going, oh my goodness, she just farted.
So she turns around and goes, AMZ Pop. Josh, it's always fun. We'll do this again soon, and maybe we'll wrangle up the ex-Pope and Arnie and friends and Hussein.
Yes, everyone. We'll even have the president of the United States on here, and I'm not talking about Obama.
Yeah, we'll...
Actually, that's something. Did you hear what happened in the news this week? Today. Trump's gone, all right, if you're a transgender, you ain't going to serve in the army, mate.
We'll no doubt talk to Paul about this during this episode, Josh, and I'm kind of scared to hear your thoughts on this. I think we might end this segment right now. Josh, we'll speak to you soon. Thank you for your company.
Thanks, mate. See ya.
Continuing on our live performance part of The Brink, where we bring you a classic live performance from the history of our show. Going back to the year 2014, we've already heard from this group, the Elliots, Melbourne-based singer and songwriter duo, a couple of weeks back, but we're going to play the second song they performed for us on the show back in 2014. This is called Say Something, and we hope you enjoy it. The Brink, the Elliots performing Say Something, Edge Radio is where it was performed. I'm in such a zone right now, apparently, when it comes to saying Edge Radio. But this is the Brink podcast, Brinkalicious. Listen to it.
Rain comes down on your world. You shine bright through it all. Say something I want to hear. Say something that's true. When you're gone, it's crystal clear. All I need is you. You walk home in those shoes from the shore. something I want to hear. Say something that's true. When you're gone, it's crystal clear. All I need is you. All I need is you. All I need. You've got to shine a light. You've got to shine a light in your soul. You've got to shine a light. You've got to shine a light in your soul.
Every week we get on this man to talk about all things to do with Donald Trump and sometimes running. This week it's just going to be purely Donald Trump because, wow, it's been a very interesting week in the world of that man. It, of course, is Paul Luttrell, who is on the show right now. Paul, what the hell has happened this week?
A fair bit, I guess. Although we didn't mention last week, but it might have happened just after we talked last week. It started with Sean Spicer resigning, stepping down from his position, and they replaced him with the most Italian man on earth.
How do you say his name? Can you help me pronounce that? Because
Scaramucci.
Scaramucci. Okay, yes. Did you do that with your hands gesturing, like up in the air? Yep, of course you did.
Like turn your hand up and.
That was sad. I mean, that did happen, I think, just in between our recording and when we released the episode. But is it weird to say it's sad to lose Sean Spicer?
Well, he became such a colourful character. It was kind of hilarious in the end, but you could just see this coming for so long. It was just, he was either going to resign or he was going to have a heart attack. Or a stroke.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think we all are kind of going to have that now with Scaramucci. Like, I'm just sad that Melissa McCarthy's kind of going to be bored now for a while. Because, I mean, like, you see impersonations of people and, like, Alec Baldwin does a pretty decent Trump. Other people out there do decent versions of celebrities. But Melissa McCarthy and Sean Spicer, like, that probably would have to be one of the greatest ever impersonations ever. I mean, like, honest to God, like, I think everyone looks at Sean Spicer and just can only see Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, well, Scaramucci seems like he's impersonating Joe Pesci from Goodfellas.
Yes. It's come full circle now.
He's kind of his own caricature, isn't he?
Yes, it is. All jokes aside, though, obviously the other thing that's kind of happened during the week, and I actually will admit I was on Twitter at the time I saw these tweets coming through before it sort of all really hit the news cycle, that Donald Trump has put it out there that any transgendered individual is now banned from serving in the US military, and that has obviously reversed a decision that Obama put into place, I think, about 2 years ago. But yeah, this has obviously caused a little bit of controversy since this has happened.
Yeah, and I mean, he's done it via Twitter as well. Way to make an announcement via Twitter. Hasn't said anything about what's going to happen to transgender people who are already in the military. So what are they going to be kicked out? What's going to happen there? What's the procedure? Hasn't said any of that. And I think he cited the financial cost of medications and things like that as being the reason why.
Yeah, it's an interesting sort of, because I saw somebody posting out a few sort of comparisons to do with that, and it's like, well, diabetics, all these other people with, I guess, like medical things that obviously needs medication. I mean, it does seem a little bit hypocritical that that's the excuse that he gives that's basically saying that nobody then can be in the military who has to have medication.
Yeah, that's essentially it. I mean, I would say there's a pretty large portion of people who would have to have some kind of prescription medication in the military. I think the military itself would probably cause a lot of, mental illness and things like that. So, to me, it just seems like it's not a very good excuse. And
it came out of nowhere, really, didn't it? I mean, it's not like it was something that, he promised or that something was being done about. Like, as you said, he did this on Twitter. And then it's, Obama sort of, that obviously did used to be a policy of the US military. It's something that I believe Obama kind of reversed. But then it's kind of just the way it's been done. I haven't seen anything since the announcement of him commenting on it. I might be wrong there. I don't know. And then it's just... Yeah, it's just such a out of the play, and like I understand the position of President of the United States, the position of any leader of any country or political party, state, whatever you are. You're not there to be popular. You're there to run the country or the state or the party. You know, you're there to do a job. But like, it's almost like he doesn't do himself any favors when it comes to thinking these things through. It's not like one of these things where, you know, you would argue when it comes to, say, the travel ban, that there are still, I guess, some vocal people out there saying it's a good thing. And certain things, like with the wall, for example, and other things that he's, you know, controversial policies, you still kind of have a small vocal majority who are talking up it. I haven't seen any positive comments about this being a thing. It's like, this is overwhelmingly negative response. He's a fuckwit. I can't think of anything else to say about it.
Well, the thing with the travel ban and with the wall, I mean, those were pressing issues. I mean, immigration and terrorism and whatever, fear of terrorism or whatever. Those are pressing issues, and I mean, he was doing what his voters essentially wanted him to do. This was not a pressing issue. No one was pushing for this or anything. And the fact that he's just released it out of the blue, to me, kind of is a signal more of he's trying to, I don't know, he's almost reveling in the fact that he's doing it. And he's also trying to generate publicity through it, rather than just releasing it in a military budget or something. Okay, we've cut back on medications for transgender people, therefore we're not going to be able to support them through this, so therefore they must be kicked out. He hasn't done that. He's just said, yep, fuck off, transgender people from the military.
Out of nowhere.
Just out of nowhere. And he's obviously released it on his Twitter page with no other context or anything like that. So he's obviously happy that he's done it. So
and I mean, the one of the few things that I saw about this was that I believe some like generals or some people in the military are saying, ignore this order. Like, do not go through with it until it officially comes down from the White House. Yeah. Which, I mean, it's great that they're sort of doing that, but, I mean, I'm assuming they can't always ignore that. I mean, once it comes from the White House, I don't understand the true politics of how the military works in connection with the presidency, but I guess it's an executive order from the Pentagon as well, then it's kind of, you have to, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, Twitter is not exactly an official means of communication, I guess.
It's interesting how he communicates in terms of Twitter, because, I mean, I guess, it's not official terms, but, I mean, do you think... I heard somebody a while ago saying that, like, he is creating a new standard for how a president will run the US, and, like, I'm not trying to, you know, put anything into positive lights with Donald Trump, but I mean, do you feel the way he's doing this, that this will be the way of the future, that even if we get the greatest president of the United States ever in 2020, you know, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson is the greatest president since George Washington. Wow, that was a weird comparison. That, like, this will be the way that presidents go forward?
I don't think so. I think that PR people, they're there for a reason. They're there to make sure that the message they're trying to present is not misinterpreted or misconstrued.
Yeah.
And he's just throwing all that out the window. And how much money is spent trying to backtrack on everything he says on Twitter? How many resources are wasted there? It's ridiculous. It's so expensive to be doing this. I think, you know, the kind of system they had set up previously, it was there for a reason. It was so, you know, the things you want to say are put out into the public sphere, and the things that you don't want said are not blurted out in a rant at 3 a.m. while they're sitting on the toilet.
I would just almost, like, pay good money to just watch him tweeting these things out. Like, and, you know, the thing is just so fascinating about this is that, like, he obviously deliberately employs advisors and people like that aren't going to stop him. You know what I mean? Like, you could imagine, like George Bush, like George W. Bush. Oh God, don't we miss the days of him? But, like, you know, he obviously wasn't exactly the smartest tool in the shed, but he still obviously had people that were there to kind of control him. And the worst that he would come out and say is that, I believe that fish and human beings can live in harmony together. I mean, that's, you know, not offending, you know, an entire, you know, entire community out there, if you know what I mean. So unless you're a fish and you thought that you weren't living peacefully in harmony, it's weird. And then also you got the thing too, it's like you would think that, 10 years ago, when Twitter was a new thing and you said, okay, in 10 years time, the President of the United States will be releasing policy via Twitter, he will be, commenting and all this sort of stuff, you would assume it would be some sort of like young, millennial president, kind of out there. Not like a 70-year-old. He is the oldest president, first-term president ever, oldest man ever elected to be the president of the United States, and he is the one that is creating this Twitter presidency.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's strange. Still doesn't know how to use it properly.
No. I actually, and the one that sort of correlating with his ban on sort of transgender people in the military was the tweet that's obviously doing the rounds during the election last year, where he said, I will fight and support for LGBT people, not crooked Hillary. And of course, and everyone's like, what fascinates me is how people, like, I swear there's just a community out there that they just literally screenshot every single one of his tweets, mark down the date and time, so that when something like this happens, they can quickly go back in time and go, oh, guys, remember when he said this? Because do you notice that there's always like a tweet from 2011 where he's like, oh, go Obamacare, but now he's like, oh, fuck Obamacare, you know what I mean? Like, there's always one ready to go.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's so easy.
No, true.
Everything that he does, he basically eventually says the opposite.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a position on anything. It's more just what is going to further my position politically.
Yeah.
He's a used car salesman. So.
Again, I think we've said this on the show before, or maybe I think actually we loosely touched on it, but I think it was John Oliver kind of said this at one point, that we're just waiting for him. Like, when he gets impeached or when, his one term is over, we kind of just want him to be like, okay, guys, I got you. It was all a plot. Like, I didn't have any clue what I was doing, but hey, I did it. I was president. I'm an idiot. It's all a show. He just comes out and admits it. Like, we kind of want him to do that, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
No, it won't.
I don't think most vocal supporters are ever going to admit that they ever made a mistake by electing him or anything. There's not going to be any kind of grand comeuppance.
No.
I think the world doesn't work like that. It's going to be anything that he does wrong, he'll find someone else to blame.
Yep.
Anything that's good of it, he'll take full credit for it. That's essentially going to be it. We're just going to have to sit through it and wait hopefully for him to be impeached.
Yeah.
And
the presidency of Mike Pence, and we're all wishful the days of Trump. I guarantee you, in 4 years' time, or whenever Trump goes, and our next president, he or she, they're probably just going to be a normal president, and there's nothing outlandish. I guarantee you that in a few years' time, we're going to have people going, don't you kind of miss the crazy days of Trump's presidency? Like, now it's a bit boring. I kind of feel like it's kind of like how people now are longing for Bush, in a way. You know what I mean? Like, not necessarily his policies, just the craziness of his presidency.
Well, in saying that, I do think that there was this weird, perverted thing that people had going on before the election that was like, I'd love to just see what happens when Trump got elected. I would hate it, but I'm curious just to see what would happen. I think that was a part of it, and it's fucking awful, and people were just like, why the fuck did that happen? I reckon there was a lot of people who voted for Trump just because they wanted to see what would happen.
Yeah, and you've got your wish people.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
At least if we do it in Australia, Paul, which we kind of did with Abbott, we can get rid of them pretty easily because of how our system works. Well, not easily, but a lot easier than the presidency. And I guess also the flip side of that is even if he gets impeached, which this is the thing, people are so like, get rid of him, then we have Mike fucking Pence. It's not exactly that much better, people. It's kind of Trump without the hair or the personality.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just lockdown conservatism. At least Trump doesn't really have full support of the Republicans. I mean, there's a lot of people who are putting the brakes on things and stuff like that, whereas I think with Pence, he's probably got a little bit more political capital and will probably be able to pull a few more strings and get things through passed into law that you really don't want passed into law. And
Yeah, very true, very true. I swear Hillary Clinton must just sit down every day, just like shake her head and just like, notice how like you never hear from her anymore? Like she's just there like,
No.
people
Well,
just,
she retired, didn't she?
I mean, what did she retire from? I mean,
From politics, I guess.
yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I just swear she could just walk down the street and just people would just look at her and just kind of have this gentle shake of the head, like, I'm sorry, Hillary, and she just had this knowing nod, like, I know, you should have listened. Like, it's kind of, it's not like, I mean, Kevin Rudd still was always very vocal after he was, and Julia Gillard kind of faded in the background. Tony Abbott kind of has a thing, but I swear you never hear from Hillary. It's kind of like you don't hear from Obama really about politics either, it's kind of, they're all just like, oh God. Yeah, he's with Richard Branson all the time, isn't he?
What's that?
He's with Richard Branson all the time, isn't he?
Yeah, he's off on his yacht or his windsurfing, hanging out with his shirt unbuttoned.
Oh, my goodness. It's always entertaining, Paul. At least we've got stuff to talk about. Probably this time next week he's banned women from the military or something. I don't know. But thank you for your time, and we'll speak to you next week.
Yeah, it's been good.
Now, if I can learn to speak properly, I'll be able to press this button and bring you this section.
This is like a flashback. This is like a dream.
Is our flashback moment of the show. Maybe I'll say Edge Radio here. I don't actually know. Bringing you classic moments from the year 2008, 9 years ago, believe it or not. And, of course, Josh was in the studio with us back in 2008. You'll hear from him again another time. You've already heard of him, of course, this episode. But this was a moment when we were in Beijing, sort of, at least, for the 2008 Olympics. And it came down to us trying to pronounce the way that you say Beijing.
Oh, how are you, Josh?
I'm good. I'm a bit tired.
You're looking very tired. It's very early here in Beijing. It's 5:25 in the morning.
What's with that, man?
Well, we're 2 hours behind East Coast Australia. We're on Perth time.
See, this is why Australia should lead the world, because they're always 2 hours ahead.
But then again, New Zealand are 2 hours ahead of us. So does
no, they're not. They're right at the other end. They're at the end of the scale. They're so far behind. They're in front of us.
But what I'm saying, Josh,
don't miss my dreams.
Anyway, I'm loving Beijing.
I am too.
How do you say it? I want to get this out of the boat. How do you say it?
Beijing.
Beijing. Now this is annoying me. A lot of people are saying Beijing. There's like two separate words, as in bay, like where you park your boat, and Jing, as in the name of
some Chinese guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like they're just saying two words, like Bay Marie. It's Beijing. I always thought it was Beijing. Like you got to roll your J into the Jing, and then you got to Beijing. But like, you watch sort of like some of the other journalists here, and they're just like, "Welcome to Beijing. We're here to Jing your bay," and I don't know. It just annoys me.
I'm not fazed.
We might have some Olympians on later on today that we can ask them, or even Arnold. We can ask him. I'm sure he knows.
Arnold, I reckon he'll
Kevin. He's been here all week cheering on the Aussies.
He can speak Chinese, though. I think that's a bit biased.
Well, he should know.
He'd be better now.
He loves it here. He's been talking a storm up.
Well, you went to this pub, right? Oh, I shouldn't say this on air.
No, it's okay. Just censor the version. Tone it down.
Went to this pub, and then there was these girls, and then, yeah... The Prime Minister lost a few $100 notes.
Josh, now, come on now. That is okay for radio at this time of the morning.
I just don't want to get my good buddy...
K to the Rudd.
K to the Rudd, yeah, K Dizzle.
K Dizzle, first shizzle, my nizzle. I really like it. I was sitting in the crowd with him the other day when he was swimming. And right in front of us was Bushy, George.
Oh, yeah.
And he had his little American flag and he's cheering on Phelpsy. It's great, it's fantastic. But I thought it was funny, the little rivalry that Kevin Rudd and George Bush had. They had sort of every time America won a gold medal, Bush would, make him pull his undies over his head and do a lap around the pool. And then George Bush had to do the same. But because he's the president of America, he kind of got his Secret Service agents to do it. Wasn't really the same, but George Bush ended up doing it anyway.
So at least he did it.
It was fun. It was funny. Have you ever seen an American president with his undies over his head?
When I was in the commentary box, I think I watched him do it.
You were commentating the table tennis, and I have to say that I have never seen someone get so excited over a ping pong ball bouncing on a table.
That's the idea of commentary. You've got to get excited.
But you really need to go to the Commonwealth Games and commentate the lawn bowls.
I will.
It's just...
I will bring lawn bowls back to the coolness.
Chess. You need to commentate chess.
Oh, could you imagine?
I think chess should be an Olympic sport.
It should be, because it's a tough game.
It is very tough.
Stressful, and it's like, here's how I'd reckon a game would go. Where Jonathan's about to go. He's got to move his rook. Oh, that was a good move.
And what would they be tested for drugs afterwards? Coffee to keep them awake. So they'd be tested for caffeine.
No
dose.
Coca-Cola.
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 Coca-Cola. One of the official sponsors of the Olympics, Josh, and they would be not allowed to do it.
Oh, Coke Zero's fine.
No, I suppose so. I really think that some of these Olympic sports that we're getting on board at the Hobart Olympics, like Poop Lotto, that would be interesting to see. We'd test the cows for, extra calcium in their
laxatives.
milk. Laxatives. That works.
I still think 9 years later I struggle to pronounce it in a correct way. But look, we tried, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. Each week on the show, we like to bring you some past guests of the show and new guests and everything else in between to relive stories, talk about where they live in the world and everything else in between. We're thrilled to be able to welcome back. It's been a while since he's been on any of these shows that we produce. I think he was on a show recently to celebrate the life and death of an actor that we killed. But it's good to actually get him now on the show to talk about other stuff about us not killing actors. I do, of course, speak of Snug's resident awesomeness person. It is Mr. Noah Groves, who's not in Snug. He's speaking to us from Bosnia and Herzegovina, the place that comes after Bosnia. Noah, welcome back to the Brink.
Hello, Benjamin. Thank you for having me back. It's good to be back. I think the last time I was on something like this, it was on the radio.
Yes.
But this is like a 21st century kind of deal here. But yeah, it's good. It's good to be back. It's kind of like we've kept in contact now and then on Facebook, but really this is us catching up for the first time in a long time. It just happens to be recorded, which, most of our conversations are recorded.
We don't like each other outside of when we're not recording. It's just like, press record. Oh, no, buddy, really, mate.
Things get busy and stuff like that, so I guess it's a podcast that will bring us back to catch up.
Well, it is. You're right. You and I kind of have, so we're talking. You've been away for nearly a year, but it's kind of you have been so busy with your travels and your studies, and obviously we joke on 007 available now via iTunes that you are off being James Bond because we can never get you to join Colin and I for an episode. But, you've been living the life. Did you say to me you've been to like 20 countries now over there in Europe?
Yes. So I think when I did the math the other day, Bosnia and Herzegovina, I'm like you, I don't know if I'm butchering that, is the 23rd country that I visited in the world. So that would mean like 20 in Europe or something, which is just blows my mind because in August last year, when I arrived in Amsterdam, the Netherlands was the 4th country in the world that I had visited. So it's just crazy what can happen in a year.
No, I should really be an arsehole and get you to like list all of them. But if you know them off the top of your head, go for it. But yeah, it's go try.
You count because I don't know. I'm just going to ramble and you count.
All right,
and tell me.
I'm counting for you. Yep, let's do this.
So it would be the Netherlands. Yep. It would be Denmark, Belgium, Germany, Switzerland. France, Italy. Did I say Belgium?
You did, yes.
Poland, Czech Republic, or Czechia, as they're now calling themselves. Hungary, Slovakia, Latvia, Lithuania, Austria, Bulgaria. San Marino, Vatican City.
Lucky.
Those two count.
Yeah, they count. They're still countries. They compete in Eurovision.
Bulgaria. Well, not the Vatican City. They don't compete.
The Pope could if he was bored.
I don't think.
I'm a golden Pope.
Serbia, Macedonia, the UK, but that was a few years ago. And Bosnia now.
It's 21.
Yeah, that would probably be around.
There you go.
21.
So you avoided Spain and Portugal then, so you didn't go west.
Yeah, well, I really wanted to go there, and I was actually planning to, but things worked out that I figured I'll go there another time and spend proper time there rather than just trying to hop a plane over there and spend a week or whatever. So I would love to go to both of those countries, but yeah, I kind of missed the southern
and Ireland as well. I noticed, like the UK, like you obviously avoided Ireland, but a lot of people do.
Yeah.
You hate snakes, and Ireland doesn't have snakes,
gaps.
so why didn't you go to Ireland?
Yeah, that's the perfect place for me. I actually saw a snake the other day while I was hiking by myself.
You would have loved that.
It was a small one, so it was okay, but it terrified me. I was in this like canyon in Macedonia where I was walking and I'm like, why is no one hiking here? I'm the only one hiking. There were lots of people at the bottom, but now I'm the only one. I haven't seen anyone in about an hour. And it was really hot. It was like 35, and this snake just slides straight past me down a cliff and then off, kind of jumps off into another cliff and down. Terrified, stood there for about 10 minutes, gathering myself.
I've just googled snakes of Macedonia because I mean, you think of all the countries in the world that have snakes, you don't often go, "Oh, those snakes in Macedonia are very dangerous." Apparently, it has 17 different types of snakes, including the poisonous adder, field viper, sand viper, also known as the proskog or jumping snake, as well as the non-venomous water snakes and other more unusual species. There you go.
I don't know what it was. It was terrifying though. But maybe the jumping snake, because it really did just jump out.
That's fascinating, like with the hiking, because when I was in Alaska recently, you know, hiking through there, and of course you could look out for like bears there, and there was like, I think a week before I got there, some kid was killed in a nearby mountain. It was like the first like mauling death by a bear in Alaska for like 30 years. I'm like, awesome, good time to come to Alaska. But it's interesting, I guess. I don't know if you feel this, like, as being Australian, you know, we're raised, aren't we, to realise that you walk in the bush, like, 30 things can kill you. So you're always, like, on the lookout. You're always, you know, a bit wary of your surroundings. But, like, do you find when you go, like, to a country like that and you're walking that you've got that awareness? Or do you automatically think, fuck it, I'm in Macedonia, nothing's going to kill me?
I think it's a bit of both. I think I let my guard down a bit here being in Europe because I haven't really seen anything like that. And I lived in Denmark and we lived kind of near the woods, so I would go for walks and I would see like a deer occasionally and stuff like that walking around. But that was it. Maybe a wasp.
Wasp!
Yeah, I mean... I guess when you're then in those kind of deserted areas, and I was seeing like lizards and stuff like that, so I'm like, oh no, what comes after a lizard? And it's the middle of summer. So I think it's a mixture of like, whatever, I'm fearless, nothing will hurt me, I'm here, this is what I'm doing. But also, I think I was a bit on my guard with stuff like that. And then, I mean, that's the first snake I've seen in Europe. But,
wow. See, I just find it's interesting. Like, I remember like New Zealand, because I think it's New Zealand, Ireland, and I think I learnt Hawaii when I was there don't have snakes either. So maybe, I think there's 3 places in the world, so maybe it is those 3. But like in New Zealand, and you go to like the beach and they've got the long grass, and generally Australia, long grass, you think snakes could be there, just, you know, be a bit wary. Yeah. But then I remember like with our good friend Nook Chista, who of course is also on this show as well, I'm like, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, snakes. He's like, you're in New Zealand, there's no snakes. I'm like, all right, cool. La 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 la, just running around in the grass. But,
God, I would love it.
Yeah, you would. So, okay, it's 21 countries. You're only there for a few more weeks, I think, from what I know. So,
don't say that.
No, I mean, you're there forever. You're never coming home. So what's the plan then? So you're visiting a few more countries, and then you're going to Japan, are you? It's a long drive.
Said with such disdain.
No, well, I mean, I didn't realise you're going to Japan, are you?
Japan? Yes, so I think I looked today, it's exactly 2 weeks before I fly out, which is devastating. We'll get to that, I guess, but yeah, so I think I'll fit in a few more countries. I'm traveling by myself at the moment, and I've really been doing it just by the seat of my pants. Like, nothing's been really planned out. Like, one day I'm, all right, I'll go to Montenegro. No, actually, it's going to be Serbia. But I booked a flight, actually, and I'm heading to Slovenia next.
Nice.
And then I fly out of Zurich in Switzerland. No reason other than I booked the flight quite a while ago, and
you felt neutral.
I didn't know where I would be. So yeah, I had to be neutral because I didn't know where in Europe I would be. So it was Zurich. So I guess, Slovenia, and then maybe I'll fit one more in, I'm not sure, and then I'll go to Slovenia. But it's always hard with, like, you want to stay for a decent amount of time, but you also want to see as much different cultures as you can, so it's hard. Do you spend, like, 2 weeks in just one place, or do you spread it out and get a taster and then go back and explore it later on? It's always hard to decide. But, a few more, and then, Japan for, I guess, a couple of weeks. And then back to Australia. It's almost, I think I left Australia on August 27th. So it's almost pretty much going to be like a year. So crazy coincidental timing.
And is that back to Tasmania? I mean, obviously you can't fly direct here, I realise that. But, like, as in, will you spend some time in Melbourne or Sydney, wherever you land? Or are you straight back to Snug?
Well, that's a great question that I don't know if I can answer you. But yeah, I will be spending some time. My brother lives in Melbourne, so I'll be there for, I don't know, a few days, a week or something. And then back to Tasmania, and then that's the cut-off point where I can't tell you anything that happens after that.
Welcome to my world.
Daunting and exciting at the same
Believe
time.
me, I've been back now for a good 3 weeks, and I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing in a week's time. So, you and I are on the same page. So, I mean, look, I as much as I don't want you to come back because I'm completely jealous in the fact that you're traveling, and I don't want anybody who's experiencing that life to ever have to come back because it's amazing and you just want to keep doing it. Incredibly jealous. I do want you to come back in another way because I'd love to get you back in studio. We miss your voice on 007. We miss your voice on the Oz Network, which you've never actually appeared on since we became the Oz Network. And we kind of created, it's like, oh yeah, like we'll ban this on from Survivor Oz, and we'll only keep like 4 original hosts because, we like each other and we work well with each other. And only 3 of us have ever been on the air, and your name's like tagged in all these episodes and everything. So all your fans out there, Noah Groves is on the latest like recap of Third Watch. Oh no, he's not.
That's my skill. I just take credit for other people's work.
You're still a part of the team, even though you haven't actually played a game yet.
I mean, I would love to come back on in some capacity. You're doing radio now or something? Back or something?
Yeah, high noon, 12 to 2, Fridays on Edge Radio.
Drop that plug in. I would love to come back, talk more. It's always fun to come into the studio. I like the atmosphere of that. Yeah.
Well, Dakota's still plugging along. He's still 15.
Oh, my best friend.
Yes. So he's still there. The day of recording this, he was in the studio today. So yay. But look, it's time flies when you're having fun. Obviously, as you know that. But I mean, it's going to be it's a culture shock coming back. From, like, I mean, look, the longest I've ever been away from home now is like nearly 3 months. And, I mean, that in itself coming back was, like, hard. And even recently, I was only away for, like, 2 months, essentially. And even then, it's still, like, a bit to get used to. But I think you'll find that you'll be back for, like, a week. And I don't want you to think about this. I'm just scaring you, but just don't. Because you'll be then sucked into that Tasmanian vortex. You're like, oh, fuck, I've never left. I mean, bless Tasmania. Yay, we love Tasmania. But, like, it's, it has a habit of doing that.
I'm not going to lie, I'm terrified, Ben.
Yes.
It's really scary. It's because this is the first time that I haven't been at school since I was 4 or so. I never took a gap year or anything like that.
Didn't have any school holidays. You just were constantly always at school.
Well, yeah, of course, there's the
Christmas
holidays.
Day, you're in class.
Summer school, always cramming. But no, there's holidays and that. But this is. I graduated in June.
Congratulations.
And then there's UTAS graduation at some point. I don't know. I'm not going to that. I don't care.
I don't want to dress
they're
up.
going to send it to me in the mail. No. Sorry, any UTAS supporters listening.
They don't exist.
But this is the first time that I haven't been at school, so that's terrifying in itself. But B is that I just... Again, this is going to be so freaking cliche, and I hate it. But I've been away for a year, and I feel like I've changed so much. Just my perception of everything, the world, myself, people around me, everything, things I want to do. That it's kind of scary to go back into your old life, I guess.
You're preaching to a large choir here. Believe me, I know exactly. And the thing that's interesting too is that, and I don't want this to sound disrespectful to Tasmania. I mean, look, we have our differences, Tasmania and I, but it will always be home.
We love it at heart.
You will always be proud to be from Tasmania. But I guess when you go out and experience other places outside of Tasmania, you get a different perception, I find, of the place that you live in. Because it's like, you realise how it's differently done in other places. And that's not always a good thing. Different doesn't always mean good. But, like, you understand that Tasmania, on the grand scheme of things, has some issues. And it's like, yeah, I don't know how I'm trying to say that politely. I don't know why I'm trying to say it politely. We're not on Edge Radio. This is a podcast. We can say cunt on here. So, like, whatever. Tasmania's fucked sometimes. Go out there and fix his shit. That's what I should really be saying.
I think with Tasmania is, like, it's a special place, but...
special.
I think...
Sorry.
I think to truly appreciate it, you A, need to have come from there, and B, you also need to have lived away from there to really appreciate Tasmania. But
I agree.
It's such a rare place that we live, and it's hard to contextualize that for other people, the feeling of coming from a small kind of isolated place like that. And it is home, but there is just so much out there, which I've discovered over a year. So it's a special place.
One thing, Noah, this was discussed. I'm sure you might have met Josh before. He's on this episode, but one of our founding fathers of the Brink and a very good friend of mine. He lives in a town called Marumaru in the Bega Valley in New South Wales. And we were having a sort of a talk.
Sounds fun.
It's a quaint little town. I've been there. It's decent. But he and I were having a bit of a discussion last night about maybe him coming down to visit Tassie. It's been a while, and obviously you would be aware. You saw, I know, off air some of the work I'd been doing on the upcoming Brink Unleashed 7 film. But we were kind of correlating in an idea that we could have. And this would be an idea for you as well, that you could possibly join us. And if he doesn't come down, this is maybe something you and I could do, because this helps yours and my travel bug and also appreciates Tasmania. We were going to organise, like, the Brink Unleashed 8 to do, like, a week where we just do a lap of Tasmania. And we kind of have to give ourselves, like, random little challenges along the way. But, like, I mean, when was the last time you would have seen some of these? Like, have you ever, like, travelled all the way around Tasmania and visited each corner?
No, I've been to places, but I don't know if I've really been to the West all that much.
Yeah, I've barely been to the West.
There's still a lot to explore.
So there you go. That's something that could alleviate our...
sign me up.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
I mean, if Josh, if you're listening, if you can't make it down here, Noah and I will do it. I mean, again, I'm literally thinking, like, 7 days... We have challenges where you've got to, like, would have to come up with pinpoints of the state. So you say, like, okay, you have to go to the top right, the top left, as far south as you can, but, like, you've got to do it in a time. It's almost like the Amazing Race. Like, you've got to set yourself challenges and, like, you know, goal posts and all that sort of stuff. So there's an idea. And if Josh joins us, there's 3 of us. If he doesn't, you and I can do it, and bang, it would be fun.
And let's get a sponsor for it so we also get some money.
Yes, you Taz, if you're listening, ignore everything that we said. You're awesome. You gave me a degree.
Forget about the comments before. I'll come to the graduation.
If I can get a degree, anybody can. That's the new slogan for you, Taz.
No, that sounds like fun, though.
Yeah, well, look, we'll work it out. But there's just a teaser. Like, I mean,
it's not travelling from Serbia to
Bosnia
and Macedonia, but it's something.
It's not the same crossing, you know, the north to the south in Tasmania, except for, like, your taste in beer. I swear, like, you probably cross, like, a street in Campbelltown, and all of a sudden you start smelling shit, and you're like, oh, near Launceston. But, like, yeah.
Let's get doing it. You can pick me up from the airport.
Done.
I don't want to be staying around. Let's get on with it.
Welcome back to Tasmania. Fuck it, let's go.
7 days? No, 1 month. Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, done. Noah, it's fun having you back on here, and yes, by all means, enjoy your final few weeks travelling around, and onwards and upwards to the next adventure. We look forward to maybe chatting to you in the next few weeks along the way if you've got a spare 5 minutes when you're not being James Bond.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Time to press my favouriteest button of the week.
That time of the week to play everybody's favourite game show. It's Forget the Lyrics! Here on the Brink on Edge Radio. Over to the studio.
Oh, forget the lyrics. Don't you just love it? You always get a smile on your face when you hear it, and you're going to get an even bigger smile on your face, because we're going back to the year 2012, when myself and Tali sang the Carly Rae Jepsen classic Call Me Maybe. I say classic because it's pretty much the only song she's ever had, and any Carly Rae Jepsen fans out there who can argue that she's had another song, I would love to hear from you. But yeah, this is Tali and I, maybe improving it. I don't actually know. Call me maybe. Let's hear this. I went to the restaurant, ordered a burger and some chips. I said to them, I'll pay this, and they said, we don't have it. I looked at them and said, what? You had it the other day. They said, not anymore, so please go away. I looked at them, I said, you are stupid now. Went down the street to the other restaurant. Hey, you just served me, and this is crazy. I want a burger, so give it to me maybe. They told me no, go back down the street. So give me my burger and serve me maybe. Hey, you just served me, and I am hungry. Give me a burger, please serve me maybe. And the other restaurant, they're pretty bad now. When they give me a burger, they don't serve me how.
I got served by a 15-year-old, they had no idea at all. She was trying to tune the boys, but I just wanted food. And I said, you are at worst. Oh my god, I'm so bad at this. And then, I'm just going to break it down and talk. The moral of this story, everybody, inspirational speech in the middle, is that sometimes you can't get a 14-year-old to give you what you want. Hey, I just ordered, and this is stupid, and I really hate you because old people could have your job. Right? I don't know. Just, I'm saying, don't be ageist people out there. Give the jobs up. Hey, can we please maybe stop?
No, I'm going to keep going. You think you're going to ride.
Okay. And all the other places, they try to tempt me, but I just want my burger. So give it to me. No maybe.
I will say for Tali that she was very talented in that department, and miss her voice on the show, but of course she's gone on to bigger and better things. But yeah, we will have to play a few more of those, I feel, over the coming weeks. The Tali ones, at least. Another part of the show to hear about another part of the world, and it's everybody's favourite part of the world because it involves everybody's favourite Canadian. He's still holding that title, even more so than Wayne Gretzky and Justin Trudeau. It's Colin Hilding. Hello, Colin. Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. Thrilled to be talking to you and not watching the opening ceremonies of the Canada Games, which is taking place 5-minute drive from my house.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to touch on this. The Canada Games, which, I mean, it's just the Olympics for Canadians. Basically, exactly. Is this because Canada's not too good at the Summer Olympics, so they have to create something to make them win medals?
Canada, number one on the medal board. Again.
And this is in Winnipeg. Obviously, this is in Winnipeg. So, I mean, okay. Yeah. All jokes aside, it's what, like a quadrennial event where Canadians come together and play sport, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I mean, the same as the Olympics or Commonwealth Games or Pan Am Games. I mean, it's every 4 years. This is a big one for a few reasons. One, it's in my hometown. That's what the draw is for people. Come see Colin Hilding.
See Colin Hilding. That's seen on the Brink.
Yeah. But no, there's a few reasons. One, this is Canada's 150th birthday this year, so it's kind of celebrate everything Canada. So let's all compete against each other. And then the other thing is that, I mean, it's the 50th anniversary of the Canada Games itself, which I guess started 40 years ago. 50 years ago, but my math 40. You listen to our other shows. So a few reasons it's big. And also, Winnipeg is, I just found out tonight, the biggest city that they've ever held this in. They usually go for smaller cities other than Winnipeg, which is probably about 750, 800,000 population.
Which is interesting, because I'm looking here at previous hosts of the esteemed Canada Games. Halifax, I've heard of Halifax before. I've heard of London, Ontario before. Regina or Regina, whatever you want to say. But such great places as Kamloops, British Columbia. Summerside and Charlottetown on Prince Edward Island. And my favourite, Brandon in Manitoba. He was all right on Survivor Africa. We don't like Brandon in Manitoba, I'm guessing. Or
Well, I mean, it's the second biggest city in Manitoba. Winnipeg's the biggest, and of course we're the best.
Right.
It's kind of like your competition with Snug.
Well, of course, yeah, we hate Snug. But I mean, obviously, Canada Games, it's then about the provinces battling each other rather than, Canada. You're just so like, who's leading the medal tally? It's Canada!
Well, that would be the Canadian way to do it. Everybody wins!
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how does Manitoba generally go in the grand scheme of things in the Canada Games?
I think it's mostly Ontario, Quebec, like everything else. It's really tough to tell even going into Canada Games, who's going to be on top, because with all the different sports that people compete in, they all have sort of different age limits, with the oldest being really 21 years old. So the athletes you're getting for the Canada Games are generally ones who haven't really competed anywhere else before and are brand new. I mean, the flag bearer for Manitoba, she's a rower, and I think she only started rowing 2 years ago when she was in high school. She's like 19 now, and really only competed, even nationally or internationally within the last year. So you're not seeing people that you're that familiar with. It's newer athletes, and once you've gone on and competed in the Olympics, you can't really come back to the Canada Games. So we're not going to get Penny Alexiak here in Winnipeg.
Well, I was going to say, she's obviously at the World Swimming Champs right now, obviously, anyway, which I want to bring up.
Yeah, I guess you're going to choose, do you want to compete against the rest of the world, or do you want to compete against Nunavut? It's an obvious choice.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I hear those Nunavut people are pretty bastards. You got to beat them in rivalry, you got to stick to your guns there. I'm just looking here quickly at the overall medal tally in the history of the Canada Games, and poor old Manitoba's at 6th. Behind
I was gonna
Saskatchewan.
Say, top 5.
No, you're behind Saskatchewan. Alberta, that's a province apparently. Your Prime Minister doesn't realise that. British Columbia, Quebec, and Ontario on top. I love the fact that Nunavut has only ever won 1 bronze in the history of the Canada Games.
Well, and in all fairness, I think they only became a territory like not even 20 years ago, so they've only had a few chances to compete.
And there are 13 provinces and the only 13, so all of your provinces have won at least 1 medal, that means. So even the good old Northwest Territories have won a total of 20 medals. My favourite, Newfoundland and Labrador, much better than that other rival province of Golden Retriever. 16 gold, 38 silver, and 6. Is that offensive to
I
Canadians?
just have to say, no, it's not offensive. It's just we take for granted, it's probably the same thing there. We take for granted what our cities or provinces are named, and it's just normal for us. So when other people kind of make fun of it, we're like, oh, I guess that is kind of stupid. Yeah, I guess Flin Flon isn't a very cool name to live.
Yukon just reminds me, I don't know if you ever read Calvin and Hobbes, but there was a big storyline of when Calvin wanted to run away and move to the Yukon, and I'd never heard of it at that point. I was very young. So Yukon just reminds me of a comic. But I mean, I think you and I have talked about this before, maybe on Off the Podium, now available via iTunes, that if they ever did an Australia Games, because we've only got 6 states and 2 territories, so there'd only be 8 on our medal tally. But, Tasmania probably just wouldn't win. We would be the Nunavut of the Australia Games. It would just be dominated by New South Wales and Victoria, and we're just hovering out, we want to win a bronze medal. But I mean, look, I think Australia we're satisfied with the Olympics, even though we suck at it, at least last year. Commonwealth Games, obviously, and we actually, I think it's like a Pacific Games, and we were recently invited to them. I think there was some last year. It's kind of just all the Pacific Island countries, and generally we don't get invited because we would beat Samoa and Fiji because they generally suck at sport. So it's kind of their way of hey, we can win medals like your Canada Games. But I think we were invited to select sports last year. And we only probably the Canada Games, you only send B-list athletes, and I still think I don't think we won the game. I wouldn't have a clue. It wasn't even publicised here, but I kind of paid a little bit of attention to it. But I would love to see an Australia Games. I think we need to make this happen. Let's put me in contact with the Canada Games organising committee, and they can help us out.
Yeah, we'll get some Canadians to plan some good snowshoeing sports for you.
Well, I actually learnt that I was reading about the Commonwealth Games this week, and the fact that at one stage there was a Commonwealth Winter Games. Now, I'm looking at the map of the Commonwealth, and I would say Canada is the only country there that would want that to happen.
Well, because I remember, I think the last time Canada had it was like 1994 or something.
Victoria, yeah.
Yeah, and it was probably the first time I was ever aware of what the Commonwealth Games were. And I remember watching on TV and thinking it was like the Olympics. I'm like, oh, I mean, I'm sure we're going to get it again soon because they'll have lots of like winter games here. At this time, I assumed we do have winter games. Canada's going to be there all the time. And of course, we've never had it since.
Yeah, well, I think I was reading that Delhi nearly tried to do one for 2010, but I actually, on the Commonwealth Games, I've always been baffled as to why Canada haven't had it since 94. But actually, you guys had the record for most cities that had held the Commonwealth Games. Australia are equaling that with having the Gold Coast next year. So, like, you have held them a lot, but now that Durban got them taken away for 2022, I think Victoria is one of the front runners to possibly be in the running for it again. And I think Edmonton won it too, but that's Edmonton. But just on a side note, talking about the World Swimming Championships, obviously this is the pride of Australia when it comes to like the Olympics. This is our sport that we do well. And as you would have discovered doing Off the Podium with us last year, we didn't do too well what we usually do. But all we keep getting in the media is just how bad we're doing at the World Champs this year. I'm looking at the medal tally at the time of recording this. We have the same amount of gold medals as Canada does at the World Swimming Champ. We literally have won 1 gold medal. France have won 5 gold medals at the swimming champ. Fucking Britain, they don't swim. They've won 5 gold medals. What is going on? Australia legitimately suck this year at the World Swimming Championships.
How does Nunavut have 4? This is impressive.
And the thing is, our only gold, because it's obviously the aquatics championships, not the swimming. Our only gold is coming diving. We haven't even won a gold in swimming. What the fuck? You have. Kylie Massey won a gold in the. Wow.
And set a record with it too, which is amazing.
Wow.
I mean, it's surprising for us because I think there was so much hype with Penny Oleksiak during the Olympics. Everybody expected it to be her, and she didn't do terrible, but she wasn't really up to where her Olympic performance was. But that was nothing compared to watching good old Mac Horton last week. I think he sunk. And watching that race, I was with sometimes my baby's like just over a year old. He gets fussy. He doesn't really love watching TV, but sometimes I get him to watch it. And he was watching the swimming, which that's one of the things that catches attention. I was asking him, who are we going to cheer for? And all the swimmers are coming up. And I'm like, and he was kind of responding like, every once in a while you talk to a kid and they'll just make a noise talking back at you because they don't know what to say. I'm like, oh, we're going to cheer for this guy? Huh? This one? Huh? This one? Huh? And I'm like, Mac Horton? And dead silence. And I kept pushing him the entire time. I'm like, I think we'll cheer for good old Mac. And then he's saying nothing the whole time. And well, look what happened to Mac Horton.
Yep, and he got beaten by Sun Yang, which even makes it worse. But anyway, I think Australia just quits at swimming. We'll stick to our alpine sports or the freestyle skiing ones at the Olympics next year. Probably do better. Just quickly before I let you go, Colin, I mentioned to you just before we started recording, one of our long-term friends in the podcasting world, Linda /Olsen, she got married. She was tweeting during the week. She's been watching The Amazing Race Canada. You can download The Amazing Race Canada recaps on the Oz Network now available. And she was saying that her husband Steve can't watch The Amazing Race Canada because he doesn't understand what the Canadians are saying. It's like Steve doesn't understand what Canadians are talking about or something. I'm like, really? Does Steve speak English? Like Canadians are generally, and so, but the people from like the territories who have like the real thick Canadian accent. And I'm like, but you can understand them.
There is one team on The Amazing Race Canada, and they're probably my favorite team on there. They're like from Quebec, but they have kind of a very odd combination of a French. It's not like your obvious French-Canadian accent. It's almost more English than it is French, and it just sounds unusual, and we're covering it on the Oz Network via iTunes. Rossi, my co-host on there, even he was like, what is their accent? And I'm like, I gotta be honest with you, even I don't know. Like, I can understand them, but I'm like, yeah, they I guess some Canadians do sound weird. That's the weird thing about Canada, without getting completely sidetracked here. I remember, saying this many times before when people would bring up the Canadian accent. I'm like, the stereotype of the Canadian accent is basically like very East Coast, like the Maritimes, Prince Edward Island, or New Brunswick. And when people imitate Canadian accents, that's what it is for us, which is it's like us assuming that you're from New York. Howdy, partner, I'm from New York City, That's kind of the way it sounds to us Canadians. But like places in America, you're going to get different accents everywhere you go in Canada. So even watching The Amazing Race Canada, even every once in a while, I'm like, yeah, they kind of sound a little funny, I guess.
Whereas in Australia, we're just that beautiful country where you can't tell if I'm from Tasmania or Queensland. The only difference is I've got another head and Queenslanders are tanned. So, I mean, that's generally how it works. But, yeah, shout out to Linda. There you go. It's been explained. Steve, you maybe, not whatever. Colin, it's always fun. Thank you, and hopefully go Canada in the Canada Games.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Canada, and I'm currently rooting for Justin Trudeau to not split his pants as he bends over to shake all the people's hands, because those pants are way too tight.
Well, hang on, he's bending over, and there's definitely going to be a breaking news story in Australian media in the coming days. Yeah, we know you'll love that. Justin Trudeau's ass at the Canada Games. So, thanks for that image. I'm googling that now. Currently sitting in the David Boone stand at Blunston Arena. It's the football match between the Melbourne Demons and the North Melbourne Kangaroos. Found former co-host extraordinaire, the main man, Samuel McCrossan. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Benjamin. It's good to be here.
It is. It's very exciting. We're currently 14 minutes into the final quarter. The Kangas are up by 5, but here could be a goal here to Melbourne, and it's a close game, and that was on the full. Never mind. Who are you going for? You're going for Melbourne?
I'm going for Melbourne. Normally I'd go for North Melbourne, Ben, but today I'm going for Melbourne because it's bad for a couple of the teams that I hate if they win.
Yes. Oh, hang on. We've just had a big mark here by number 25 of Melbourne. Do you know who that is, Sam? Or?
Oh, Tom McDonald, Ben. Oh.
So old Tommy McDonald could have a goal here. D-I-E-I-O. What are your chances? Are you gonna say he'll kick this? He's directly in front, about 30 metres out.
Yes, he'll be 15 metres out by the time he kicks it.
He's coming in now, McDonald. He lumps it straight through the middle. And the D's are hit the front, Sammy boy.
That's right, Ben. Haven't been in front much today, the D's, but here they come, steaming home.
I have to say, it's bloody freezing right now. The wind coming towards us here is it's a bit nippy, but it's a good crowd, good atmosphere, lots of different supporters from different clubs. I haven't seen a Cat supporter though, Sam. Have you seen any Cat supporters?
Actually, yes, I have, and so have you, Ben. Our friend Stewie that we saw at half-time.
You're right.
He was wearing a Geelong Cats hat.
I will take that back, yes, but saw a GWS supporter, multiple Carlton supporters, very intelligent people, and sadly your usual rot of the Hawthorn supporters.
Yes, rot.
You didn't wear your Cats gear though, Sam?
No, I didn't. I decided against it today. No.
Didn't think it was a classy enough crowd, even though we've got Melbourne supporters.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, no. So I didn't go with it. I didn't go with my Cats jacket today. I just went with a plain black jacket.
Now, how many games have you been to here at Blunston? Do you like coming to watch footy here?
Kinda. Funnily enough, ironically perhaps, I prefer going to Launceston to watch it.
Oh, that's offensive.
I know. I just like the ground better up there.
Really? I'm not a fan of York Park, but it's interesting for football here for me. I think the Hill needs to go. And I think that they need to just make this a circular stadium. Well, it is. I guess that's why it's a stadium. But yeah, I mean, I've been to a few of these. It always baffles me that North Melbourne has supporters.
Well, it does. But, yes, though, I like the ground in Launceston, but I do like going on our road trips up there. That is much fun.
Well, I agree. And one thing actually that we're looking at loosely planning here, Sam, and I was going to invite you along to it, but I don't know in terms of your availability that it might be a bit of an issue for you, given you're about to venture off to Japan and Malaysia. But looking at loosely planning a week-long road trip around Tasmania called the Brink Unleashed 8, followed by a lot of little side challenges, trying to get Josh to come down and Noah when he's back and just have a bit of fun with it. So if you can spare a week at some point, you're welcome to join us.
Well, I'll have to keep that in mind, Ben.
Well, I mean, the fun and go to Launceston and you don't have to go there for football. You can just go there and make fun of the people up there who drink shit beer.
Oh, beer. Yes. No, I'd be up for it if there was beer involved.
Well, how long now till you leave, by the way, until you head off overseas?
Okay, well, I think it's 57 days today, I think.
Not counting it all, are you?
No, I'm not counting, no. That was just completely off the top of my head. No, I've got a checklist. I tick off a day each day, each morning. I tick another one off.
And you're looking forward to it?
I am, yes. Going to Singapore, then our old stomping ground in Malaysia.
You're going to the last ever Malaysian Grand Prix. I'm slightly jealous.
Yes, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. Then we're off to Japan for the Japanese Grand Prix and then home.
So you fly back from Tokyo back to Melbourne or Sydney, is it? Or somewhere else in Japan?
Flying back from Tokyo to Melbourne.
Right. So where, Suzuka, is that close to Tokyo? Is that where you've got to go to Suzuka?
No, flying to Osaka.
Ah, right.
Yes, which is a city in the southern-ish part of Japan.
And then heading up to Tokyo.
Heading up to Tokyo after the race. Check out that. Show the Tokyoanese what I'm all about, and then come home.
The Tokyoanese, not the Japanese, the Tokyoanese.
What do you call a Tokyoan?
Tokyoanite. I wouldn't have a clue.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you've got Hobartians, Melburnians.
Dickhead, they're just from Launceston.
Sydney cider.
Sydney cider, yep.
Bris
Vegas.
What do you call Brisbane people?
I think they just call themselves Bris Vegas. I don't know what they call themselves as a plural, I guess.
Brisbaneans?
Brisbanean, perhaps.
Adelaideans?
Yeah.
Perthians?
They're just knobs.
Yes.
Sheep shaggers. Zealanders. North Melbourne look like they might kick a goal here. 1 point in it still.
The North Melburnians?
They're just the missing people. They're the who? The what? I think we'll stay with this, see if they kick a goal, but there's probably, about 10 minutes to go, you'd say?
Yes, well, we're at the 19-minute mark, so we'd be expecting about 11 or 12 minutes from here, I reckon, Ben.
Right, the Kangas to kick this goal to take a 5-point lead, and he's got it. Oh. Wow.
They've reversed it, Ben. They've reversed it, as in they've reversed the lead. There's a changed lead. They've reversed it.
You might call it a reverse Kanga.
Oh, thank you for taking my punchline, Ben.
Sorry.
I should job you for that. Thanks for that.
I was expecting you to say it, but you didn't. So I apologise, Sam. Would you like me to pretend I never said that and you can go for it again?
No, you've upset me now, Ben. No, I don't want any part of it. And hey, you know, in the past where we've seen games of North Melbourne on television. Down here in Hobart, and that guy with the massive afro.
Yeah.
Well, I've just seen him, Ben. He's right down there. Can you see him?
Where am I looking here, Sam? Yes, I do actually. Yes, wow, it's Sideshow Bob.
I know. That is impressive. He'll be on the highlights tonight, no doubt.
Yeah.
I think he's got number 60 on him.
Hang on, Jeffrey Garlett might kick a goal here. This will be on the highlights, but he gets to know he's lost it. All right, never mind. North Melbourne, Cooter just kicked it out in the forward deliberate. No, he didn't. Never mind. Oh, gee, that was a hit and a half. Yeah, that afro, that is a hairstyle.
It sure is. He'd need a very big hat to get that under wraps.
I couldn't imagine what the hair is like in other parts of his body if that's what it's like in his head. It's probably another story. Sam, always a pleasure. Apologies for stealing your punchline. But, go D's. Yeah.
That upsets me, man. I'll take that personally, that punchline thing.
Well, you should punch me in the line or something. I don't know. That was a bad punch. This is why I steal yours, because I can't come up with original ones of my own. So.
Yes, well, no, I must say, I no longer wish to engage with you any further.
Well, actually, one thing I have to say, though, Sam, at the time people hear this, they would know the result, but our sort of ongoing bet in terms of, like, hosting the show and their teams playing each other, that we've got to sing the other song. You've never sung the blues song, because I think the only time we've ever beaten you recently, we weren't doing the radio last year. So, are you still on for that bet, that if Carlton win, you've got to sing the Carlton song in the future?
Yeah, no, you're on.
All right, done. Otherwise, I have to sing the bloody Geelong song. All right. Thank you, Sam. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for having me.
Time to bring it all to a close. A Brinkalicious episode. Heard from a lot of people today, and I'm sure you've enjoyed every single minute of it. And you're also going to enjoy every single minute of the Brink Unleashed 7. That is right. Your favoritist film franchise in the world that isn't a Marvel film, probably, is coming back. And, of course, we now have release dates for the film and the trailers. Now, the very first trailer, which I'm actually going to play for you, sort of, here, at least audio-wise, is coming out this Wednesday, the 2nd of August, and we'll play that for you, the audio of it in just a moment. But we will be releasing a total of 3 trailers. The second trailer will be out on August the 6th, so you actually get 2 trailers for your buck this week. And also the third trailer comes out on August the 10th. The full film will be released on August the 14th. So you've got about 2 weeks to get yourself prepared and ready for the latest Brink Unleashed film in the franchise, and I have to say, probably the best one yet. And I'm not just saying that so you can watch it, I'm saying that because I mean it. But let's play the audio from the first trailer, which is set to be released Wednesday. You're going to hear it for the very first time here in the Brink. Let's hear this.
Wait to meet all these great Survivor people looking like this. Let's make this Monday a fun day.
This is embarrassing, America. What is this?
Doesn't it just get you excited? Don't you wish you could see the images that were being shown on the screen with that epic music that's playing in the background? So stay tuned to our Facebook page. That will be up on Wednesday. And, of course, our YouTube channel as well. Best way to subscribe to that there. But we've been closing out each of these episodes recently with a bit of a mix of music and some classic moments. We do every year an In the Mix montage of some of the best moments of the Brink to music. And this week we are playing for you 2009 In the Mix. Some great moments happening in 2009. And this happens to be one of my very favourite montages of all of our years that we've had this show out there on air. So hope you enjoy it. Thank you for your company and everybody who's joined us on the show today. Until next week, Hobart, please do keep sucking those oranges, and a good night.
What's the one question that's a constant between you and I?
When are we bringing the Olympics to Hobart?
Well, pretty close. They know it's in 2020, but what's happening with it?
They're young. By the time they're 70, they won't even remember what they did 5 minutes ago.
You don't end up having that much free time.
Oh, how do we get here? This just shows the kiddies that hard work and slogging it out to be a celebrity gives you results. Whereas this chick boom girl, in a year's time, you'll be like, who? What? Show? What? Because I've never done it before. We're going to forget the lyrics in just a second, but it feels nice, actually. I love rubbing my head. I've always wanted that feeling of rubbing my head and just going, oh, you're bald. And I've done it now, and it sort of feels weird having these headphones on, actually, because I'm used to it being propped up with hair, and now it just feels odd.
Get out of the water, all like Baywatch style, like throwing the hair back, the water's going out.
The glasses are on there, are they?
Yep. Hard to jiggle it.
Here at the Brink, we're world-renowned for getting the guests in. Mark Webber, Stephen Bradbury, Casey Burgess, David Foster, Jane Saville, Lauren Brandt, and Nick McKing, Mr. Tim Franklin, Mr. David Bartlett.
Happy birthday, Mum.
Oh,
it's my mum's birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday.
We'll get out and sing happy birthday, man. No, we have to pay like 10 cents, I think, don't we, every time happy birthday's played?
Seriously, I could end up seeing this thing as like a cardboard cutout cartoon, just like South Park.
Oh, I've heard rumours. They're there.
I don't know what's worse. That's the hard thing with this one. A live kitten or watching Grey's Anatomy. I mean, ew. Number 3, he couldn't get the wrinkles out of his birthday suit. Gross. I see it every Friday and it's gross.
Walked up to her and started talking to her. She signed it all rough, no word of a lie. She wrote, "To Ben, please explain," and then she signed Pauline Hanson. And then she asked me, I said, oh, you know, I remember seeing that interview, and she said to me, she's like, would you have known what xenophobic meant? Which is the question that she got asked. On 60 Minutes, she was asked, are you xenophobic?
What's xenophobic?
It means you're afraid of people from other cultures and other countries.
I thought it was you're afraid of Nick Xenophone.
No. Cue laughter.
Tell you what, in 2020 for the Hobart Olympics, we'll guarantee you a gold medal. We'll make sure no judges are near the stadium when you're coming that way. We'll make sure all the other competitors are disqualified, and we will guarantee you Olympic gold. How does that sound?
Well, if you can guarantee it, then I will definitely make. I'll only be 2020. I'll only be 45.
Oh, look, you don't even have to race walk.
Spring chicken, yeah. Gee, it'll be fine.
Gay. I'm sorry, I'm a league fan and I cannot stand rugby union for the life of me. I was at work last Saturday one of the guys I work with is an avid union fan and I'm an avid league fan and no, don't work.
Where is this president trained? He just zones in on this flight and,
bang,
squeezes it. And he still has to go to his, secretary or whoever's behind the camera there going, did you see that?
It's just like when you're going fishing or hunting, you kill something, you're like, hey mate, look at that. Look what I just did. I killed it. Yeah, I killed it.
Don't you actually have to have summer to have the summer games?
Well, that's true. That's the thing. We'd probably be more of a chance at the winter games, because it's nice and cold even in summer. That probably sells itself then.
Yeah,
it does.
Go to the restaurant for the lose.
It does.
I once had a cabbage thing. It was like a cabbage leaf with this mint stuff in it. It was really nice. For me, yeah.
I was about to say, Josh, that was like the most randomest thing you could ever come up with. When you're talking about toilets, you're just going, you know what? I had cabbage mints in it.
The segue was obvious. Yeah. Are we done here?
You can go. Go, Josh. Go on.
No,
Go on. Get out of here.
Shut up. What did the New Zealander say?
I don't know. J.K. Rowling didn't make Harry Potter sparkle in the sun with his little wand and go, look at me, I'm a gay fairy wizard. No, they stuck the source material as a wizard with a nice wand and evil. Till next week, Hobart. Please do keep sucking those oranges. Keep sucking those oranges.
Bye, Hobart!
Do keep sucking those oranges.
And go through Ben's wallet.
Do keep sucking those oranges. Do keep sucking those oranges. Keep sucking those oranges. And good night.